Good morning, Foggers. Happy Tuesday morning. Cold morning here in South Florida. Just continuing on with these short videos. Yesterday I had a discussion with an old friend of mine who was, it was a two-part discussion from last week, called me yesterday, kind of like, hey, let's get back into that conversation. And it was kind of sort of like there was, and he understands this, but like a competition about trauma and who's got more trauma or whatever. And it was kind of like a misunderstanding. So I said, you know what, let me address this. This is one of those things where, he had, let's say, when his father passed away, or maybe his kids were sick or whatever. And I always use the analogy over many years now, to a one man or woman, a cat in the tree might be traumatic. And it's not correct for either you or me to diminish that person's trauma. What I was trying to explain is, when you have 28, 29, 30 years of responding to homicides, crashes where there's just carnage and things that are not desirable for the soul, because I don't even think it's your eyes, it hits you in the soul. You have a certain amount of trauma, absolutely. That's one type of trauma. But what I was trying to articulate to him was the very dangerous type of trauma. And I'll use myself an example and somebody else was, for example, when trauma is tied to you by even the smallest of things, right? When I got married, my wife would leave me messages or little papers. I love you. I'll be home. This, cook that, we'll do this, we'll do that. And it took me back to my childhood where I grew up with suicide letters from my mother. And so, as sweet and as tender as they were, they didn't sit well, right? And it was because I grew up with that. Every time I found letters, it was a trail of letters all the way to my mother, who was, constantly trying to kill herself, right? So, and I don't mean to get extreme there, but it's a great example. Another example, in a class that I was at, a peer counseling class years ago, firefighters responded to a fire that was horrific, where children burned. And I don't want to even say the department because I don't want to, open that up again. And as horrific as that was, just off the charts horrific, right? Involving children and a horrific way to die, right? When one of the firefighters made contact with a stuffed teddy bear that his child had, automatically now you have linked a horrible catastrophe to yourself personally, right? Because we go to homicides and we go to all these scenes, and yeah, the guy or the girl is dead and it's gruesome and all these things. But when it's tied to us, your relationship with your mother, your relationship with your father, right? It could be, you may go to a scene of a sexual assault if you're a victim that was molested, right, at an early age. And again, those are horrific things. I've spoken to men and women in our department, numerous men and women, and that's a horrible thing to carry. And it wasn't your fault. And but I will tell you, a big thing is to try to address that. If you haven't addressed that, whether it's through forgiveness, right? And I'm nobody to tell you to forgive anybody who's done horrific things, but we're in search here at 3M Fog of making ourselves heal. I'm not here for anybody else. I'm here for me, for you, and for us, and we, right? So whatever it takes for you to heal, then that's where it's at. So that's what I wanted to discuss. The amount of trauma we see, yeah, sucks. It takes an effect. But what really takes an effect is when it's linked to you. When you get to a call and you go, holy shit, my mom used to try to kill herself. Holy shit, I was molested by this guy or whatever. That's what I'm trying to articulate. It's never a competition of who's got more trauma or what. Trauma sucks. I wish I never had it. I'm kind of happy that I never lived in a bubble, but it sucks to be where I've been, right? And that's just a little window of where I came from. So again, think back to things that are currently bothering you. If you're getting flashbacks, if you're affected by a certain movie scene, right? A certain song, there are songs and there are commercials where physically I get a response, then search it, right? We go to the gym, like I've said before, and you eat well and you diet and the girls put on makeup and the guys wear clothes. Why wouldn't you take care of your brain, right? Take care of your brain and your soul. Try to be better, okay? And you know who's gonna thank you? Your husband, your wife, your kids, right? Those are the ones that get screwed over. I don't mind taking one for the team, but I don't want to screw over my family. I don't want to put my family through things that I was put through, okay? And my siblings were put through. So short video today, but on that, see if there's any connection with things that are bothering you and where you came from. And let me tell you another thing, I'll leave you with this. Your unconscious mind is there to protect you at times. And there's things that you don't remember. There's still things that I think that might have happened to me that I'm kind of in search of. And I'm asking God and you know, all the questions that I have, I'm asking God to like kind of connect the pieces. And believe it or not, I'm 52 years old. I know I look great, thanks, and I'll pause for the laugh. But what I'm trying to tell you is I learn things about myself all the time still now, okay? So not to drag on the video, but see what connection you have, okay? It's not just what we see, although that's horrible, and yes, it does take a toll, but the root of the real problem that leads to addictions and real bad mental health are the ones that are connected to you, okay? So take that and work on yourself. I hope you have a blessed day today. Be well, and remember, take out the garbage. Thank you. Take care.